Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I am doing a romance recommendations. So for this romance recommendation, I figured I would do rock stars slash like bands, music. I asked you guys on Twitter what romance recommendation you wanted me to do next. And a lot of you gave me really good suggestions, but I felt like I didn't have enough of those to recommend. So let me know down below what recommendations you want me to do next. It can be a trope, it can be like a subgenre, anything to do with romance. Just let me know down below and I will try to do another recommendation on that. Some of you did suggest a motorcycle club romance recommendation, which I will be doing at some point. I just feel like I don't have enough of those. I can only think of like one or two that I actually loved that I would want to recommend, and every other one that I've read I haven't really enjoyed, so I just feel like I didn't have enough for that. But I was kind of going through my Goodreads and realized I have a lot of rock star romance recommendations, so I figured that would be the next video. I have 5 that I'm going to recommend to you today. Some of them you've probably already heard about. For my recommendations videos, even if I talk about these books a lot in other videos, I want my romance recommendations to kind of start from the beginning. So I'm sure at some point I will do another rockstar romance and then I'll have more recommendations, you know, that kind of thing. But I do have 5 that I want to recommend today. So let's just get into the recommendations. And a majority of these are all series. So I am going to kind of just talk about the first book, or my favorite book in this series. So the first one that I'm going to recommend is the Rocker series by Terry Ann Browning. The first book is The Rocker That Holds Me. I do have to say that this series, particularly the first, I would say 5 books, are not really written the best. They are definitely lacking in the writing. If you like a lot of the same books as me, you'll probably enjoy this series because I loved it. Book 7 and book 8 is where it got better with the writing and the storytelling overall. So just bear that in mind that these books are not written the best. I love the first few enough to continue the series, and it is a series that I still really love and definitely would reread. There are around 12 books, a couple of novellas after that, and I have mentioned some of the spin-off books, which are like Needing Forever. I have mentioned those. So the first book, The Rocker That Holds Me, follows Emmy, who is like the publicist slash manager for the band Demon Slayer, and she has been friends with most of the members her entire life. One night she hooks up with one of the bandmates and he doesn't remember, and she ends up pregnant, and it's just really cute, really fun. It's not super long. I feel like the books get longer as the series goes on. Book 3 is actually my favorite, The Rocker Who Needs Me. There is a different cover for it now, but this was the original cover. This is by far my favorite in the series. I just really loved Lana and Drake and their romance. This is an age gap romance. This is like one of my favorite books of all time. I just really loved it, and I really love this series and I highly recommend it. Next we have the Sinners on Tour series by Olivia Cunning. The first book is Backstage Pass. This follows Brian, who is the lead songwriter and guitarist. He is kind of losing his creative spark, and Brian meets Myrna, this psychologist, at a hotel, and things take off from there. This series is very dramatic, very sexy. I do own Hot Ticket, which is book 3. This is not my favorite in the series, but I found this at a thrift store and it was in pretty good condition, so I went ahead and bought it. But Backstage Pass and Rock Hard are both my favorite in this series. I think I like Rock Hard the most just because it's about Sed, and I just really liked him as a character. This series is really fun and sexy and another great rockstar romance. The next one I have to recommend is the Stagedive Series by Kylie Scott. I'm sure you've all heard of this series. It is a super popular rockstar romance series. I read these years ago and I don't really remember how I feel about them, to be honest, but I did want to recommend them because I did read all 4 of them. I clearly did like them enough to continue and keep reading them. The first book is Lick, and this follows Evelyn, who wakes up on her 21st birthday or the night after in Vegas, and turns out she got married to a rock star. I do remember this series being super fun and entertaining, and book 2 is definitely my favorite play. I did give book 2 4 stars and the rest I gave 3 stars, but I still really enjoyed this series and I do think it is one you should check out. The next rock star romance that I have to recommend is the Sporn series by Samantha Towell. The Mighty Storm and Weathering the Storm. These are book 1 and book 2 in this series. This series is a little complicated because the first 2 books follow one couple, and then book 3 follows a different couple, and then there's like a novella of another character, and then the 4th book that is coming out in September follows one of the kids of one of the band members. But these 2 are definitely my favorite in the series. These follow Jake and True. They were childhood best friends. They eventually dated and were just like their first loves. And then Jake moved on to focus on his music career. Years later, True is a music journalist and she is sent to interview Jake, and it's kind of the startup back to their relationship. I just really love this series, specifically book 1 and book 2. I love Jake and True, and I just thought they had a beautiful relationship. It's kind of like friends to lovers / like enemies to lovers, and just like second chance romance. It just has it all, and I truly do love this series. And the last rockstar romance that I have to recommend for this video is the Bad Boy Rockers by Lexi Buchanan. So again, this is a 4-book series. The first book is Sizzle. This follows Talia, who goes back home with her new boyfriend, and she ends up meeting his older brother, who is set to become a lawyer, but at night performs music at this bar with his band. And it just follows her dealing with crushing on her boyfriend's brother, and there's kind of an attraction there, but it's kind of forbidden. Third book is actually my favorite. I do own a physical copy of it. This is Sultry. This follows Mara and Donovan, another age gap romance. The whole like best friend's younger sister romance. Does that make sense? Older brother's best friend romance. Yeah, I really love this one. I've read this like 3 times. I love this book. Again, this series is not written the best, but again, if you like a lot of the same books that I do, I'm sure you'll really enjoy this series. This one in particular is not a rockstar romance, but I do think the first 2 are. I mean, I did read this series back in 2014, haven't reread it since 2017, so I can't really remember, but I do know the first 2 and maybe the 4th one are rockstar. I can't remember if this one is particularly, but regardless, I love this series. Highly recommend. Alright, so those were all my rockstar romances that I have to recommend for this video. These are obviously not all of the rockstar romances that I've ever read and that I would ever recommend. I do have more, which I will talk about in a later video. Let me know what romance recommendations you want to see from me next. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, follow me on all my other social media, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!